What the hell is going on in the middle of the night? I just heard someone cursing. I've been a light sleeper since I was a kid, and I just have a habit of just like turning off my cell phone traffic before I go to bed. But this moment, my cell phone constantly ringing, watch out, message tone two. Abnormal, just opened the phone to see that I was just so inexplicably pulled into a WeChat group. Is band status. So at this time, the number of people show that 129 people, honorable passengers, good evening, and anonymous state of people, just spoke like, Res chat can still be anonymous. Anonymous, the train is about to stop running for some reason. And during this time of stopping, I really hope that all passengers will read this group's tips really carefully and just keep the code of survival in mind. Note must be memorized. 1. Or this train stops in the outskirts of the countryside where the temperature is extremely cold. So please cover up with a really good blanket and just don't let your hands and feet, like including your head, poke out of the range of the blanket. Like it's very cold and dangerous outside. The train will restart at 3 a.m. So supplying heat, please try to sleep before 3 a.m. Like do not make a sound. You can pretend to sleep. 2. And this train provides free food service like bread, eggs, mineral water are distributed free of charge. So please receive food in the hands of stewards wearing like blue uniform. Please do not buy food in the hands of stewards wearing red uniforms. Please note that we only provide bread, eggs, and mineral water and absolutely no other food. Please just note that there are no red uniformed crew members on this train. If you see a red uniformed crew member, please do not just talk to him or her and just try to close your eyes and just pretend to be asleep. Attention, please do not, and red uniform stewardess is like, otherwise seek your own luck. 3, for the sake of public hygiene, please do not smoke in the train compartment. So smoking is really harmful to health. If you really can't help it, you can actually smoke in the toilet before the train stops. 4 or so, once the train stops, the toilet door will be automatically locked and cannot be opened. So if someone can't get out from inside, please squat down. Please squat down. So as not to be seen by people outside the train window. So note that there is no one outside the train in the deserted and unpopulated wilderness. If you see a silhouette floating by outside the window, it must be like an illusion. Note that if the person outside the restroom window begins to stare at you so intently, stay still and hold your breath until he leaves. So note, please do not use the restroom before like 3 a.m. after the train stops. Unsafe and unsafe tip. There are 25 minutes until the train stops, so you have to use the restroom to use the restroom. So smoke if you want to smoke. Oh shit, what's wrong with you? Which psychopath is making up stories? The carrot's just a burst of abuse, but the next second, the air just instantly solidified quiet for a long time. Not right? Who pulled me into the group like, dude, are you in this group too? Like, it's strange. No common friends. Like, who can pull so many people into a WeChat group at once? Sleeping in the bunk opposite me, buddy, wearing headphones, gently asked me, brother, you're also in the group. So I just nodded my head and didn't say anything. The crowd has just been noisy not so long. The train radio suddenly sounded like, sweet girl, all passengers pay attention. All passengers, please pay attention. So now is August 20. 22:01 a.m. sharp due to the outbreak of unknown viruses in the train's next stop. So disinfection work is being carried out. So the train is about to make an emergency stop on the current coding bin. So 04. So please do not panic. Quiet stay in the car will soon be stopped. I immediately associated with the message in the phone, my brain just buzzing just as like a burst of electric shock. Feeling numb scalp, the group's message is really something bad will happen. The compartment sank, the oppressive air, dreary. I just jumped out of bed and just rushed to the bathroom just before everyone else. Just as I rushed in, I noticed several figures rushing off the bed behind me. Luckily, my brain turned pretty fast or have to queue up just like the heart under the nervousness of the toilet, just pissed on the finger, already panicked. The mood under the depressing burst of foul language like fuck garbage train. I just want to turn around and wash my hands. So suddenly a strong feeling, there's a pair of eyes watching me. So from the window, that feeling is very strong. Like being hunted by vultures, haunting stare, backbone, a cold gulp. I gulp so hard, don't scare yourself, trust science, but like people are such creatures. The more they are in danger, the more curious they become. I just couldn't control myself and slowly turned to look out the window. Even though I was just so prepared, I was still instantly startled. Outside the window at some point stood like a dark shadow. Those eyes flashing weird red light was just staring at me with unblinking eyes. Eyes locked, those dark red pupils, red as polymerized blood red, strange, red, scary, bang, 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 bang. So what are the people inside just doing? Come out quickly, hurry up, and fall inside, outside the door, like a rush of sound, as if urging, but I do not dare to make a sound, trembling fear. What kind of materialism just thrown in the back of the head? That pair of red eyeballs, like weird jumping fireworks, like a contraction as the heart, like in the middle of the circle of gray curvature, like the evil ghosts of hell through the mirror to watch me. See the ghosts, see the ghosts. There had always been a tip in the group to stay still and hold your breath. I instantly forced myself to calm down, leaning my body against the sink, just keeping still and just holding my breath. Those eyes suddenly flickered as if they were just wondering what was going on. But I'm not good at sports like myself. I don't have much lung capacity, and I've just been shocked. So my breathing rhythm is disturbed, so I can't hold my breath for long at all. I can only pray that hell leave quickly, quickly, quickly. It's a hallucination. It's a hallucination. It's a hallucination, like 10 seconds, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, just a minute. Just when the redness in my face felt like it had to explode, the black shadow just instantly disappeared, as if he had never really appeared. Hoo. I breathed heavily in dull, sharp gulps, my legs weak, leaning against the sink after the robbery, my lungs wheezing, like I was just pulling on like a bellows. Suddenly there was a loud thud and I nearly fell over in shock. The inside fell in. Right. Ready to spend New Year's Eve in it. Come out. Outside came just like another impatient urging. So I do not care about the hands stained with urine, just rushed out of the toilet palpitating, just after the fear to the extreme. Outside the door was none other than my buddy sleeping across from me, cursing and glaring at me, squeezing his headphones and squeezing into the toilet just to like scrub. Luckily, there was a sink outside the toilet, and I just turned on the faucet to rinse my fingers, so my mind's still reeling from the scene I had just witnessed. So in the mirror of the sink, my expression seemed to be out of control, so my facial muscles kept twitching, so my dark red eyes were higher than normal. So dark shadows, that was definitely not human. Never human. I washed my face and pulled out a cigarette, so I was just about to light the lighter, but it just jammed a few times and wouldn't fire. Snap. So suddenly there was a terrified scream from the toilet, which in a split second just became mournful again. My hand shook and the lighter fell into the sink in terror, followed by a frantic banging and slamming of the door. Thump, 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 thump. Help came in the form of sudden clicks and IKEA. Suddenly everything just stopped. So the air was just silent for a long time. Everyone outside the toilet stared wide-eyed and held their breath silent, so no one knew what was really happening inside. Soon the toilet door suddenly opened automatically from the inside, and bizarrely the door opened by itself from the inside, while inside there was only the sound of clattering, like flushing, like a pungent fishy odor. Where is the person who opened the door? Like it was just empty. The eyes of the people lined up to use the toilet looked inside in unison, and the urge to urinate was so scared to gather even more so. But none of them dared to go in, and I was the only one who thought about what had just happened inside, and it must have been like that kind of black shadow that had just appeared. According to the speculation, as long as the people who go to the toilet will encounter him. So if you follow the information in the group, it is actually possible to avoid the danger. Thinking of this, my back was in a cold sweat, and at the same time, I was just so grateful after the robbery that I just didn't react when the cigarette in my hand just fell in the sink. Now is not the time to just smoke. I looked at the time, so when the radio announcement came down, it was 1 a.m. Yeah, now it's already 1:20 a.m.
Yeah.
I had to hurry into the quilt, so I have to hurry into the quilt. I thought in my head immediately flew back to my unknown 2-bed, so clothes can't even be taken off, just directly lifted the quilt and drilled into it. So after a long time, the opposite bed buddy has not come back, so his backpack lying on the bed, I realized that he was some kind of power to take away. So just like the fate of the more likely, At this time, the WeChat group once again sent an anonymous text message. So anonymous will soon stop. So all sleeper ticket passengers, I just tips on sleeper compartments are not so limited to like soft seat and hard seat compartments. If you hear any strange sounds in other compartments, do not care. It is a hallucination. It is a hallucination. So do not go to check the danger. So the danger is not limited to other compartments. What does this mean? Like, I was puzzled at this time. WeChat sent another message, 13 gold. Like, he pinged radio, prompted the car is about to stop. So want us to get off the change to other trains. You get off, hurry to make a phone call to me. So we are so good to converge. 13 pounds is my high school and college friend month to month. So we sneak in high school, often skipping classes together to go off like campus internet foot washing because he had diarrhea once. So he said there were 3 whole pounds of diarrhea. So he had the Ming Shivasan Jin. So don't ask me how he knew he had like 3 pounds of shit. Don't want to say this time. We are about a piece of travel is now home on the way home due to a lot of tourists now. So I just grabbed a sleeper ticket. So he just slow hand bought a hard seat. But the more far away from the message sent and the group's tips contrary to what's wrong, not right, train conductor asked the hard seat, like carriages just get off the car to change. But why we sleeper carriages did not receive a notification, and this is in the middle of nowhere, and there are no train platforms. So how could there be there's no platform in the middle of nowhere? So how could there be a train change? Like He Pang is getting off. Hurry up. Don't just leave anything behind. Yoon sent a message again. I can feel like the train has slowed down to a very slow. So about to stop. The atmosphere in the compartment is unusually cold. So no one said a word. After 2, I don't know which big voice suddenly yelled, damn, the other compartments are getting off. So why don't you notify us, this broken car? Like I am just a minute, do not want to stay. Then I heard a packing sparse sound as if with something to leave. That person seems to get off. Or we also like a piece of down, so stupid want to die. So don't pull us back. Inside the train are not safe outside the, all right, conversation ended abruptly. Like the moment the train stopped. At this moment, everyone seems to be just about the same. Like, coincidental by. According to the group Q, one must now just sleep. I just gently lifted the corner of the quilt, and sure enough, I saw countless figures out of the window getting out of the car, just standing in a row in the whole wilderness. Time unknowingly has come to more than 1:30. Is that anonymous message in the prompt bedtime? I just had a really bad feeling in my heart and immediately just sent a message to Yu Yon. Sanjin, did you get off the bus? Sanjin, don't get off. But I didn't receive a reply. So I was just so anxious that I immediately turned on the mute and just called Yudian. Allies in the quilt breathing rapidly smothered in sweat. After about 30 seconds, the phone was rejected. So why not just answer the phone? Yuyo never hangs up on me, so I was puzzled when I suddenly received a photo from him. So there was only a pitch black wilderness on the photo. So nothing else. Something strange has happened to Ho Pang. The train has just disappeared. Did you get off the train? So I then realized that the photo of his subject is in the pitch, like black in the bay car track. And the track is not even a train. So there is no train. So then that we now have the train clearly stopped and it should be stationary. So if the train doesn't really exist, then where the hell are we? Like my mind was in a daze, suddenly thought of something, immediately opened the ticketing software. And then I realized that I could not look up like cone 104. The train didn't even exist. I paused to breathe, so my limbs were cold, and my heart seemed to be beating not for myself, just fluttering and beating so wildly. Suddenly, you and Joanne once again sent a howl, don't get off the train. I immediately replied to ask Sanjian, like, what is going on outside? Like, I am still on the train. But I waited a long time and did not reply. The sound effect, the train is very good, so able to isolate the pronunciation of like 80 of the outside world's like sound. But my sense of hearing has always been abnormal since childhood. Although because of this, I sleep very shallow, easily woken up by the slightest breeze. And so every time I just sleep, I have to turn off my cell phone traffic. But at the moment, the subtle noises coming from outside the compartment, so I can hear it clearly, So what exactly is it? Husband, husband, don't kill me, to save my life, to beg you my nerves as a bowstring, in a taut state outside the voice, so gradually evolved into a mournful, like cry. Sad wailing abuse wantonly mixed with the crisp sound of broken bones, like the prelude to the echoes of hell outside what actually happened. Like curiosity is really hard to control once it really rises. Not to mention the uneasy tension that compels me to find out. After a really strong struggle, I just took a deep breath and just summoned up the courage to pop out the corner of the quilt and just then, an eerie sound suddenly interrupted me. Da 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 da, just like the sound of high heels stomping across the floor. It seemed like unusually cold in the quiet carriage. However, women walking in high heels are usually careful to be brisk. This sound was clearly different, as if it was just like a bone striking the ground directly. The da, 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 da sound was getting closer and closer. So inaccurately, it was simply in front of me. So the sixth sense that people develop in times of crisis was so accurate. I could feel that there was like a pair of eyes peering at me right outside the layer of blankets, like separating me. Attention, please try to sleep before 3 o'clock. Don't make a sound so you can pretend to be asleep. I just remembered the whole group tip and squeezed the corner of the quilt so tightly with my finger, forcing myself to sleep with my thought suggestion. But the more I did so, the more my brain just woke up and just began to surface all kinds of like demons and ghosts, scaring me so much that layers of cold sweat just soaked through my clothes. I don't know if it's a psychological effect maybe at this moment, maybe even in the quilt. The temperature has actually plummeted, as if I was in the presence of injustice. My hands and feet were just so numb, and the more I closed my eyes, the more so agitated I became under the tension and fright. I desperately bite my lower lip, so do not let my mouth to make a sound, even the sound of breathing to curb. So the blood seems to zero, gradually become more and more like heavy eyelid. Flutter, 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 the heart beating frantically, unconsciously. I actually fell asleep. I do not know how long. So I was just awakened by a burst of like dry heat. Struggled for a long time, swallowed slowly, just opened my eyes. The carriage was as quiet as ever, so I couldn't hear a sound. So I glanced at my cell phone. So it was already 3 in the morning anyway, just as I was breathing like a sigh of relief after the robbery. The accident happened. My baby, where's my baby who just like took my son? The carriage just went into an uneasy panic. Oh shit, what are you crying for? Trying to lure that thing over here? Like, shut up. Are you just trying to get us all killed? Even though the alert said it was now safe, the nervous passengers were still so scared. Hey, you guys heard that, right? That strange footsteps just like above my bed. That voice kept ringing and everyone just talked about the strange incident. No one really cared about the woman who just lost her child. Just then, the rough-tempered man stood up and slapped the woman in the face. She cried, "Women are fucking selfish." "Oh, do you want to get us killed?" The woman bought her face, was just on fire, and grabbed the man's just like sleeve. My baby was just under the cover, so he's gone. He must have been stolen. Who stole him? Did that whole thing, just carry his baby away. No kids cry when they're carried away. I know, didn't the group tip say that the only way to be safe is to be under the covers? Like, it must have been like his kid's body exposed. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the whole thing found it. So who can you blame if you're a mom and don't protect your child? Just don't harm us. Like now, the woman's spirit was nearly broken. Her nails clawed at her long hair, and she said madly, "Oh no, I clearly covered the baby, so I covered it." So he tore his hair. Jumped off the bed, a bed to look for just then. We checked coincidentally, received a message, anonymous attention. So the train is just about to arrive at the next station. So please be sure to read this tip carefully, so keep in mind. 1, the passengers on board are dangerous, so they are different from you. So please always keep in mind not to have any contact with them. 2, like literally, and the bread, porridge, eggs, and water provided by the train crew are free of charge. No other food will be provided on this train. 3, or passengers who get on the train after you will nibble strange food, which is like a local specialty don't mind complaining about the pungent smell of their food. So it will just irritate them. 4, or don't eat the food they give you. So if they give you food, please take it, but don't eat it. And don't be so scared by the whole appearance of the foe. 5, or there may be faces and features among them that look exactly like those of your acquaintances. So just remember that this is an illusion that they're not so familiar with you. 6, a layer of bed passengers pay attention not to look to the bottom of the bed. So under the bed issued a strange sound is a very normal thing. So do not care. So sleep on it. 7, do not eat halibut attention. So this train simply do not have halibut food. At this time, a pushcart voice rang, snacks, snacks, free snacks, free snacks. Now, just want to eat. Can eat. I have no appetite at all now. But when the attendant pushing the cart just passed by. So I still raised my tone. So please give me a bread and a bottle of water. So it's better to be prepared. After all, I just don't know how long the next food will be. After getting the bread, I put it next to my pillow. When the car gradually slowed down, a platform appeared out of the window. But the train was so wide, so I did not even hint at the arrival of the station. So I could see a whole line of people just waiting to get on that platform. Suddenly, I just swept the screen of my cell phone and noticed that the anonymous message in the whole group was actually withdrawn at this point. Why was it withdrawn? Wasn't it just a hint? A few seconds later, the anonymous person sent out another message, attention, fellow travelers. So there are wolves mixing with the whole sheep. I didn't have time to read the message when a blinding white light just pierced my eyes. A middle-aged man showed his cell phone torch and knocked on my bed. Buddy, I'm in bunk of 15. Do you want to go smoke a cigarette together? Like, I was just so dizzy from the light. Adapted to a few seconds later, saw his eyes stuttered, obviously some sort of anxiety, perhaps frightened. So this person should be alone or would not choose to find the same kind of person. I accompany him. I also have some palpitations like the dark corridor and no sense of security. Just shook his head and said, or you call someone else, do not smoke. Well, so sorry to bother us at the same time, apologized and nodded. Each other unspoken, not to mention the weird atmosphere in the carriage. The man finally chose to walk alone in the direction of the toilet. So thin back was just swallowed up by the whole darkness. The light of the cell phone finally left only a little bright. I suddenly remembered the group tip, don't smoke, but now it's already past 3 o'clock, so it should already be fine. So at that moment, there was a stuttering sensation in the carriage and the train came to a complete stop. I looked out to the platform, countless shuttle figures running around the platform in a hurry to make phone calls, carry luggage, noisy with smoke and fire, just like as if everything that happened before was just a real dream. Dad slightly pushed the text for a room carrying signs, but a voice just reminded me that never really like a dream. Child who has seen like my child. Baby, don't be afraid. Mommy is here. So the woman looking for the child's demeanor has become almost like maniacal, walking around in the carriageway. So the bizarre thing is that the passengers who boarded the train at this stop acted as if they couldn't just see her. Turning a blind eye to this crazy, like talking woman looking for their own berth. The carriage did not turn on the lights, but they do not need light. So I do not know whether it is like an illusion. I can always see their eyes in a trance, pupils lax in the, if not dark red light. Such eyes I seem to have seen were just like plop, a person just threw Leon my opposite bunk. Man wrapped in a thick coat? Well, the person on the opposite bunk just disappeared in the toilet earlier, but the luggage was clearly still there, so not noticing that the duffel bag had just disappeared at some point. And the bed was so neatly made up. The man was wrapped in thick clothes, tucking the lower half of his body under the covers, and somehow he gave me an unusually wrong feeling. It was just like a zebra in nature to like a lion or like hyena. With an innate sense of kind of crisis. What is he going to do, ta-da-da? Are you hungry too? Like the plastic wrapper is just tucked into the palm of my hand, just cold to the touch, like the feeling of a doctor sterilizing you with like a cotton swab when you get an injection. He'll treat you to chicken claws, so don't keep looking at me. The man let out a laugh, but his expression was so cold and so numb. After saying that, he just went back to his bed and proceeded to eat. With a good appetite, well, I breathed a sigh of relief, so I was just imagining things. So it seemed like he had absolutely no idea what getting on this train meant. I looked to the plastic bag in my hand, and in the next moment and second, my body went instantly cold and stiff, and I almost threw the whole thing out in just shock. But I remembered one of the group prompts so that customers who get on the train can give you food, so you can't eat, but you have to take it. So I fought back my fear and collected the chicken claw in my hand that was just as big as my hand covering the root claw, and just, why don't you just eat it? Like the man twisted his head to ask me suspiciously while I saw the red light jumping in his eyes, that I'm not hungry for now. I'll eat it later when I'm just so hungry. Oh, that's right. So the man just wiped his hands and buried himself under the covers to sleep. I held my breath, confirmed that he fell asleep, only then dared to wipe the sweat in his hands, so can be confirmed. So the guy on the bunk is just simply not a person. He ate his not chicken claws at all, but the human hand thought of this. My entire body buried into the quilt, so do not dare to sleep. So tense body, like how to do. Now on the car, they obviously have a lot of escape. Is not realistic, has always been restarted, can only continue to stabilize them. So I just opened my cell phone and saw the latest news. Anonymous fellow travelers, please be advised, there are wolves mixed into the flock. So there are wolves mixed into the flock. So wolves mixed into the flock. People are like, sheep horn, sheep. What's a wolf eating a sheep? Like it is Luong. At this point, the group's banning function was turned off, and immediately someone anonymous asked Big Brother, like, what should we do now? I'm just like next door to a few beds of the old folks to smoke. Has not been back. So as a result now, some people get on the car to sleep in their beds, but we just simply have not yet arrived at the station to get off. So why are you anonymous? Like, why do you know so many tips? Could it be that you're in cahoots with them? Or are you just like the mastermind? Countless messages drowned out that previous tip, and countless key questions were asked of Anonymous, only to be answered with 4 words, anonymous, so please believe me. And then there was just nothing more to say after that. I also just clicked on the avatar of Anonymous and asked him the question that I really wanted to know the most in my heart. What can I do to get off this train safely? Like Anonymous, do not trust anyone, including me, to reach the end of the station. To get off and leave will be safe. My mind was so busy. Didn't this person just say, please trust me, Anonymous? Then goes on to say, after 5 I will no longer be like me. So please don't trust me. I also wanted to ask why the man on the opposite bunk suddenly asked me coldly, have you eaten your chicken feet yet? Like, hey, I'm not hungry yet. Like, oh, just remember to eat. I perfunctorily said a few words, but the group blew up. Hey, Anonymous, my friend, to go to the bathroom has been like half an hour, did not come back. So call show that the other party has been turned off. So what happened at Anonymous? So I went to the bathroom with my girlfriend and he suddenly just screamed in the toilet and then just disappeared. At Anonymous, I saw a black silhouette outside the window. No, not a silhouette. That's not a person. So at Anonymous, these new people who just get on the bus, their eyes glow red. He also gave me a packet of pig's feet, but they were clearly human feet. He urged me to eat it. What was I supposed to do? I just felt like the last person to ask had the same problem as me, but Anonymous never replied with another word, as if he had just disappeared. So at this point, I noticed that the whole group size had just plummeted from the previous 129 to 72. Had the others kind of dropped out? Or a few minutes later, the sound of a cart slowly approached again. The night snacks are selling night snacks like all the local special flavor snacks. So through the quilt, I can smell a stimulating flavor. The taste is like human blood. What kind of snacks are there? To the pouncing man asked her, we only have halibut or selected top quality ingredients. So the taste is unique. So good. Just give me halibut. I'll eat this. Just like curiosity hook. When I secretly gently lifted the corner of the quilt, only to see a woman wearing a red stewardess uniform, holding a red plastic bowl. And that bowl is like a layer of red, eerie soup. Soup lying in the bleak, white, bleak bubble, bloated pieces of meat, soup like red like blood, meat like white like snow. Emitting a pungent, thick, fishy smell, I felt so shocked. Finally reacted, the group tip said the car is no red uniforms of the stewardess, and the car does not sell halogen cook like the man on the bunk. So suddenly asked me like, friends eat halogen cook like you've the cafeteria just out of the pot, so hot, you can actually see my eyes exposed, quilt slit. I quickly adjusted my breathing and stabilized my emotions, not just letting my voice show like panic. No, I'm not hungry yet. Have the claws eaten yet, not yet. Oh, the man stops talking and picks up the paper bowl and takes a sip of the soup, like the reddish liquid just spills out of the corner of his mouth and just drips onto the snow like white sheet, which is particularly harsh. He then picked up a thick slice of white meat and stuffed it into his mouth, feasting on it. I just kind of like shrink back under the cover, listening to the sound of his chewing, closing my eyes and suppressing my fear so that only human flesh is just hairless.